Okay, on the cloud. Okay, we got Keith and Andrew, John, Manohar, Sandra. So, yeah.
We're no longer anonymous.
Yeah. Well, we still don't know what you look like, Keith.
Yeah, and actually in the YouTube videos and stuff, the recording, although we see Keith and it pops up on the screen, the people don't. Like in the recording, it'll just show like this little camera.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and nobody's name or anything is on any of it. So,
Yeah. Unless you know, if your face is on it, like if I say something, my face is on there.
yeah, that's true.
Unless it's somebody who knows me, you know.
That's true.
I don't know.
Well, and that's why the original recordings back in, I guess, 2017 or whatever, because we had folks that said, no, don't put, you know, the thing on YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. So, but everybody now has been cool with it. So that's good. Everybody is cool with it, right? I guess we should check in every so often.
Oh, I have not had any response, you know, somebody saying, you know, who are you or anything like that. No.
Cool.
But then not everybody knows to look for that particular thing, you know, so.
That's true.
You know, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, but, and there's a lot of people that probably wouldn't be interested, so.
That's very true. Thank goodness, yeah.
We got a very small group of people. The world isn't real? What?
See you later, alligator.
Oh, man. Although more people are saying that now. Deepak Chopra is coming out saying that, and he's pretty almost mainstream. So,
Oh.
yeah, you know, he's a scientist and doctor and all this stuff. And he's been talking to Rupert Spira, so they've been having joint talks together. So it's part of the Science and Non-Duality Conference, I think, that they have every year in California. So the scientists are sort of on the same page with a lot of the non-dual, you know, teachers. So science and spirituality coming together. So in some quarters, I guess.
Ramesh Balsekar used to bring in a lot of findings from scientists in Consciousness Speaks.
Oh, yes, I have that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a lot of the findings of scientists and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah, because when they look for matter, they can't find it. Because all they get is empty, you know, space. So they're like, oh, okay. So.
Yeah, well, just only remember that science can only talk about the elements of the unborn child.
Right.
Like the environment of the unborn child, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's very true. I know that Balsekar once said that when you look at a human being, basically you're looking at a vibrating pattern of energy, basically, just like movement, which is, you know, like Das Bode speaks about movement, you know, the wind or whatever, you know, the elements and so forth, which is not real. So, yeah, so basically, you know, it seems that listening to some of the quotes that you've been sending, Sandy, on Facebook, and also some of the things that I've been looking at, you know, like the book called Philosophy, Nisargadatta Philosophy, and so forth and so forth. And the other books, you know, our teacher starts off, you know, like just basically jettisoning from all of that just into nothingness. You know, it's like, you know, just dropping the body totally and the mind, and not even dealing with that, basically. You know, one of the sentences that always kind of like always comes back to me when I think about Ramakant, his teaching in Self with Self, is he always said, stay with prior to beingness. And if you stay with prior to beingness, I mean, that's the end of the game right there. If you can do that. You know, stay with prior to beingness, basically.
The awareness of just the presence of just I, before the rotation of what that I is and the identification with the body and all of that. That just I without anything, prior to beingness, is just I without any attachment to anything.
Right.
And nothing to think about, because anything you're thinking about is appearing on the spontaneous presence, and the presence is only noticed when the just I understands I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the movement and the stillness. You know, when Das Bodh says, how was the world created and all of that kind of stuff, that's the movement. Like Maharaj says, prior to beingness, you were unknown to yourself. After leaving the body, you'll be unknown to yourself. And presently, you are unknown to yourself because you're considering yourself in body form, so you're not knowing yourself in a real sense.
You always forget what you're going to say, what's left. I forgot. I was going to say something and then I forgot, and then it didn't come back. I do that. Like I do a radio show for college radio. I play music, and sometimes I forget what I'm going to say right there in the middle of when I'm starting to say something. But everything's still there. Here, just don't need to say it. Yes. How many times do I get interrupted when I'm going to say something, and then nothing, what was going to be said doesn't get said?
Well, because again, nothing that is ever said is of any importance whatsoever, no matter who's saying it. Because it's just like in a dream, you might hear some profound speech or whatever, and when you wake up, you just realize it's a dream. When you know yourself in a real sense as formlessness, then pretty much anything that's in form, any talking, anything, like Maharaj says, the words are useless. Just you know, we created the words and said these lines and that, this means this and this means that. And the truth is, prior to being this is prior to words, because there's no interpreting mind to be able to interpret any of that. It's just, there's nothing. The words are just to convey, yes, because it's inviting the attention of the invisible listener. You are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. You're formless. You are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain body. Body's not your identity. You're prior to any of this body stuff. When you know yourself in a real sense as the formlessness, then no form can attract you. And then you start to catch your mind, because mind came along with the body. Mind is producing thoughts. For you, the formlessness, when you know yourself as this formless, and all of this is appearing on your presence, then the speaking is useless. Like Maharaj says, it's spiritual entertainment until this body falls. Because nothing is important. The President of the United States could give this wonderful big speech, and in truth, it's in a dream. Nothing's happening. Who cares? It won't matter. All of this is appearing on your spontaneous presence. Presence leaves the body, and where's the profound talking? No talking. That's why Maharaj says dry spiritual discussion, it's useless. Once you know yourself in a real sense, then you just remain there. And then speaking and listening and all that kind of stuff happens, but there's no touch of body. There's nothing. You just realize as that's the truth. So it's not like you have to do any effort to know the truth. You just have to stop putting forth effort and discard all the illusory layers that are covering up the reality that you are.
Like relevance is only relevant to relevance. I was just reading.
Yeah, nothing is there. We're talking about the something in the nothing. Again, like the unborn child. What is the fate of this unborn child? How can this unborn child have more happiness or whatever? Well, leaving the body, prior to beingness, there was no happiness, no unhappiness, no nothing. It was just nothingness. Nothing. Something appeared in the nothing. And for a time, you're believing that that something is some kind of reality, but then you know that the base reality is the nothingness, the formlessness. That all this form, and see, that's the cool thing too, when you start communicating with yourself in other forms without a you and a them, and it's just, how can anybody irritate you? What can actually happen? Because it's just you. It is your formless nature in every single solitary body that you're seeing. Because if you withdraw that presence, the body drops and just a dead body. So that presence that you are is animating the body, is moving the body, but you're holding the body, and then when you're not, that's it. You know, the prior, just nothing. And there's a stirring in the nothing, which becomes an I am. And the just I is the original kind of touch. And that sense of presence is then all of these things appear on that spontaneous presence, body, mind, ego, intellect. And you know your sense of presence when you click with the body, as Maharaj says. And now you know yourself because there's the concept of otherness, whereas before it was just, you know, space can't know its space, sky doesn't know its sky. So clicking with the body and identification with the body at first as, oh, this sense of I, this just presence, it must be this. And then, like Maharaj says, you're impressed by your parents, by society and school and all that, that yes, you are this. And now this has to do stuff and, you know, succeed and add more body knowledge onto this thing that you are not. And then the egoic sense of self wants to see how it's doing in comparison to all the other bodies that are out there that you're believing are also believing that they're trying to achieve. And you basically start a race with your own selfless self in 5 different bodies. So you're going to win and you're going to lose and you're going to be in the middle. But the race is not occurring. There's nothing going on. So no need to take the touch and get all worked up and upset, and mind comes in and says, man, you know, we gotta be number one. We're number one in the race that's not happening. In the formlessness, everything is contained inside yourself. So the race is occurring inside yourself and the body forms are being animated and moved by your power. Who's winning, who's losing? You. The selfless self.
It's all the dream characters, right? And
Exactly.
within oneself. Right?
Because you're absolutely formless. The form you can pick on and drop. Just like in the morning, you dress for work and you go and you go to work. You put clothes on, this body. You don't go around naked. So these clothes are the same as in the morning when you have just I. You clothe yourself first with the ideas and beliefs of what is this just I? Just I is the body with a name that has this life and all this kind of stuff. Then you put on another layer of clothes, and you walk out the door and you meet the world with all these different layers on you. The layers of the clothes, the layers of the body that you're using, that you're actually believing yourself to be, and that you're taking information on how others are reacting to you because you believe you're a body. There are other bodies. And think about if you just walked out of the house with just I. You never put on the body form. And the only way you put on the body form is through body knowledge. Like we said, the pressure to feel that you're a body is the pressure of the body knowledge on you. I am this person that has done this, that has achieved this, that is doing this, that has this job, that needs to do this, that needs to do that. If you don't put on the body first thing in the morning and you remain with just I, then you're in your natural state. And then you're absolutely in reality. The body, whether it's there or not, just like the clothes, okay? In the morning, the just I comes, I just remain with my selfless self, just the sense of presence without anything, without taking the touch of anything. And I don't put on body in the morning. And when I start to feel myself put on body, I mantra because I'm formless. So I invite the attention of the invisible listener, hey, you're formless, you're invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity. Don't put on body. Because when you put on body, then it looks like you're in a world. And it looks like you have all these people. And it looks like you have to do stuff. Leave the body at home.
Let it do the stuff, I guess.
Yeah, mantra. That was one of the coolest things in India was mantra and watching all the activities still occurring. You know, especially going into the morning in the shower. And it was hot. I mean, scalding hot. And instead of being like, oh, man, this sucks, you know, blah, blah, blah. It was, okay, it's hot. Mantra, mantra, mantra. And before you know it, then it was like, okay, cooling down and maybe a little bit of cold water in this. There was no irritation. There was no taking the touch. These things were going to occur anyway. I could have had a really horrible morning or a morning where I wasn't there and it was fine.
I guess that's where Nisargadatta says all you can change is your attitude.
Absolutely. Your internal, that subtleness, just throw it away. Mantra, inviting the attention of the invisible listener and everything. And see, that's the reality. So when you, the selfless self, that invisible listener sees and you're impressing reality. Like Maharaj says, the spirit is very, very sensitive. If you're impressing the reality that I'm not taking body, I'm absolutely formless. Every room that I go in, I'm the space and I'm not the objects inside the space. And that's how you're presenting, then it's spontaneously happening. There's nothing. You're just, what's happening inside the space that you are? I don't know. There seems to be some movement, but I really have no interest in that. Oh, but now someone's right in front of me and there's speaking occurring. But I have not left my selfless self. I don't have to step outside, you know, even talking to people. I don't have to put on a body to talk to you.
So even to say you can change your attitude it's more like the attitude just changes.
Well, whose attitude?
Rather than somebody doing it.
Yeah, attitude is just flow of thoughts identified with as good or bad or you know, an atmosphere. Atmosphere doesn't matter at all to the space. And we talked about before, the space could have a tornado coming through it and destroying the whole town. Or it could be sunny and beautiful and people picnicking and enjoying themselves, or a nice beach, or it could be hurricane. Space is not affected at all. And yes, okay, you say, well, take care of your body. If there's a hurricane coming, you want to move out of the way, of course. Your formlessness will probably do this anyway, though. Hey, you know, hurricane, let's walk away. And you'll mantra and watch yourself walking away. Mantra is just inviting the attention of the invisible listener that all this subtle body, this subtle ego, and all this stuff is not needed at all and can be discarded. Because all of the mind can produce is the form world. It's like if you dreamed in red and every night you had thoughts about red, but then during the day there's no red. You would easily distinguish between dream and reality, so to speak. So you can do the same very subtly and fast. Oh, form, no form, form, no form. Anything that has to do with form and the form world, I don't take the touch of because it's not my reality.
So the attitude automatically changes from relative viewpoint to absolutely free of any viewpoint, I guess.
Well, see, the relative is just the layers of illusion that are currently being seen, that, you know, that are covering your seeing. The truth is just the truth. The truth is there's nothing running here. This body is like, you know, like we talked about, you put on the body in the morning, you put on the clothes on the body, and then you go out into the world. But if you wake up with just I and are brushing all these things, just I, nothing, no, not putting on body, not okay, this and this, everything's happening, nothing's happening. And this is going and not, like the perfect example was that grilling experience where there was hamburger flipping and grilling and all this, but there was no impression of it has to be good or wonder what these people are thinking or am I doing it correctly? There was nothing, no one, nothing. It was just movement and no thinking about the movement. It was spontaneous action without any actor and without the egoistic sense of self trying to take credit or kind of debiting for the actions. Because it was seen that actions were just arising, just like ocean waves are rising and falling and rising and falling, and no one wave says, oh, that wave's bigger or should be bigger or nothing like that, because there's nothing there. There's really nothing there.
However the burgers turned out, people are going to eat them anyway, I guess.
Well, it was, see, there wasn't even that thought. It was literally just what's right in front. Okay, I'm flipping these burgers, putting hot dogs, okay, putting them out. I even saying, okay, people, there's new hot dogs, new hamburgers out, you know, but there wasn't, I guess there wasn't any expectation. There wasn't even a knowing of what was next or what was happening. There wasn't a need to know. There wasn't an identification with a thought stream that said, this is how it's going to be. Or I need to do this, or how are people reacting? It wasn't. There was just space moving about in space without any kind of ideas that there was anything going on.
No self-consciousness or reflection.
No, because there's nothing there. It's like space. There's nothing that anything can land on when it's just space. There's nothing. And just like now, there's speaking, and it's like last week, it was crazy because the speaking just stopped. What to say? I don't know. It just stopped. I was, okay. Good night.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it just, there's no more, nothing.
I have that same feeling too in the work that I do. More and more, it's just kind of like, I don't think about it. I just do it basically, and I don't really project out into the future. You know, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's. I know that I remember we had said this many sessions ago that Ramesh Balsekar had made a distinction, which I thought was one of his finer sort of points, between the thinking mind and the working mind. The working mind is, he said, was vertical. It's just direct. It's just present in the moment, involvement, doing what's happening.
Yes.
And the thinking mind is projecting out into the future, wondering what's going to happen, like conniving and all that kind of stuff, worrying about this or whatever. And basically that working mind is, like the mind has to work because we do have a mind. And so, it's an instrument. So, but it's being directed by selfless self, or that spontaneity, it's just happening.
Yeah, it's just spontaneous action in the moment. And like you were
Yeah.
saying, it's right in front of you. Whatever you have to do is right in front of you, and that's done. There's no expectation that I'm doing it or how it's going to be or how it fits in the grand scheme or whatever. It's just here, 100%. And what you were talking about when the mind is expanding, it looks back in the past and says, I don't want to make these mistakes, or these things were happening last time. I want to avoid that. The pain and pleasure principle. I want to avoid this to happen again, or that was so wonderful, let's try to make it happen exactly like that. And then projecting how the future is going to react to the past and killing the present, because no matter how wonderful, we had talked about before, if you went to an opera and, it's like you knew, or everything had been planned ahead and you absolutely knew in your mind how it was going to be, whether there was going to be valet parking or whatever, all the different steps, so that when these experiences were actually occurring, you're judging them already from your mind's experience, and your mind is saying, that's not how I wanted it to be, even if it was perfect. Bringing in like my ideas, my beliefs, my concepts, and again, the circle of body knowledge, all of those things, instead of just being here, just I. And just I can do everything. Because there's no doer or no deed. Like Maharaj says, do you take ego in a dream? If you see yourself rob a bank in a dream, do you wake up and turn yourself into the police? No. You don't take ego for the actions in the dream, and you don't take ego for the actions that are occurring spontaneously in the moment, because there's no deed, no doer. And yet, if something goes a little bit wrong or whatever, you can certainly apologize. It's not like you become this like, I am perfect, so therefore all of this is... No, because like Maharaj says, you do your job, you do your duties, you take care of all your family responsibilities, and yet you don't leave yourself. You remain with the selfless self, just I, and you'll see that, wow, work is better without me. I'm more friendly without me. Traffic goes much nicer without me. All these things are just because I remain with my selfless self. I don't take the touch of the world, and I just kind of glide through because there's no resistance.
Right.
The resistance always seems to be about the me and keeping the me safe, or getting something from the me.
Believing that there is a me.
Yeah.
Because right. the prior to beingness, there's no me, there's no I, there's no you, there's no nothing. It has to be just I with I am. I am somebody. I am somebody else. The label on this body is John. I am John. John, this body, has these relatives. These are John's relatives because this I is now identified with the label of John that has been attached to this form. So therefore now this form is precious to me because it's mine. And see, prior to beingness, you're absolutely formless. There was nothing, nothing until this sense of I occurred. You clicked with body. And then the consciousness started, all the thoughts and all the, identification, because here I am in this body, so this body must be me. There's mom, and mom tells me, yeah, that's your body. Because even if she doesn't tell me that, I do something good, good job, John. I do something not so good, please don't do that again, John. And it's constantly impressed. These actions, good and bad, are my doing.
That's the programming.
Exactly. And the truth is, the formlessness is using the body, is holding the body. And it's doing it in everyone. That's the wildest, most cool thing, is that my presence is in every being. When I'm getting angry with somebody for cutting me off in traffic, I'm truly getting angry with myself, because myself is in that form and most likely is there so that I can sit there and view my mind telling me how terrible this person is when there's no one there.
Yeah.
Because there's not a me. I think Osho talked about the boat, and an empty boat hits somebody, and at first you're very, very angry, like, how dare this person hit? And then you realize it's an empty boat and you're calm immediately. But had there been a person in the boat that hit your boat, then you would vent to them. When it's empty, it's like, even the mind is nonsense. Okay, this empty boat hit me, but no one is to blame. Well, no one's to blame whether there's a person in there or not, because there's never a person in the boat.
Just looks like there is.
There's a body. There's a body with you inside of it, moving it around, that also believes itself to be a name and a form. But it's you. Because you're everywhere, in all things, in every being. Every person you meet is your own self. It would be as if everyone looked just like you. You would just say, okay, this world is just full of Johns. Just everywhere I look, there's John. And yet, John could be the guy who slams the door in my face. He could be the guy who cuts me off in traffic. He could be my boss that asks me, how come you took a long lunch? But it's me. And yet, when I believe myself, I'm interacting with myself as other, but it's not the truth. And that's why Maharaj says, good experience, bad experience, these things come, just brush them away, brush them away. Don't take the touch. Because as soon as you take the touch that an experience has occurred, you create an experiencer in time, and you're suffering.
Right. And I saw that this week. You know, like I realized that there's like a little subtle spiritual enjoyer within me that wants to enjoy, always be enjoying spirituality. And whenever the rough times come, there's kind of like a sort of like a resistance to that. But also, there was a moment when everything just went, like a disappearing act, basically. And I didn't make myself disappear. I just was not there. And it was like jumping back all of a sudden in fear or whatever. I'm not sure. It was like that ego was really frightened by that, I think. You know, the spiritual enjoyer wants to just kind of like hang out in, you know, like maybe pure consciousness, or just kind of like dally around in that. You know, I know, and I thought about what Siddhara Meshwara had told Nisargadatta Maharaj once when he was writing a lot of poetry or whatever at one time in the beginning, and he said, you should stop doing that because you're enjoying consciousness too much.
Right.
Anyway. I think someone wrote a message just there.
It's
Yeah,
Mary.
Yeah.
She's signing on as Om.
Oh, okay, good. Hello, Mary. Or Om.
Hi.
It's almost like the creation of the source has created a world out of an attempt at repeating itself, or just as the mind is like an attempt to repeat, which would create a sense of time, and but that no repetition has ever really been possible. I mean, one thing has never ever repeated itself that I have ever observed, because just can't. Something can't be repeated. Nothing can be repeated. So it's almost like it's an attempt at repeating, or being able to be what it is a second time or something.
But see, that's using logical mind. There's really, like Maharaj says, there's no reason for existence at all. It's just like Each night you go to bed and have a dream, but you don't say, this night I'll see this dream, or that night I'll see that dream. It's literally, I don't want to say chaos, it's just spontaneously occurring. And there's no knowingness as to where it or what. There's no need for logic. See, when we are in body form, then we want a story, because we assume that in these bodies, they're progressing and there's some kind of story, there's some kind of timeline. Yeah. But it's not.
And we want to re-grasp it or repeat it or something.
Yeah, because measuring ourselves in body form. If in a dream, you have the same character, but always different. You know, you have a dream night after night after night, and you, this character, are in that dream, but it's constantly different scenarios, and there's no timeline whatsoever. And that's the truth. Because your formlessness that's holding form there's no planning. Like Maharaj has said before, there's no planning, because there's no planner. It's just the formlessness using body form in the moment without any kind of anything. Because nothing's actually happening. There's no bodies doing anything. There's no John that's progressing in any way. There's, John can have a job and do this and do that and do this and do this. And when this body falls, whoop, John has the consciousness, so to speak, woke up from itself. Consciousness has left, so there's nothing. It's just you, the you that you are, completely and totally formless and unaware of your own self. And this John that was kind of an addition inside the consciousness, an object in consciousness, is no more, because the consciousness in which John was an object is no more. So how can John the object be there if the consciousness which John was the object in is no more? It's just your own selfless self. Prior to being this, prior to any movement or any ideas or beliefs, prior to clicking with the body, not even the just I, because the just I, the sense of presence, is felt inside the consciousness, and the consciousness will leave you. But you will witness this conscious leaving you and know.
And you don't need a plan to be there. You don't need a plan, just like you don't need a plan to be in traffic.
Yeah, I mean, a plan for the unborn child. Again, the child that is unborn, we're talking about its life. I think we had talked about a while back, if you were dreaming about, let's say, Tom. And Tom went to high school. He married his high school sweetheart. He decided to go to college, and he was going to study to be a doctor. And he was working so hard. His wife had 2 jobs, and he was studying to be this doctor. And you wake up. Is it fair to Tom that he never became a doctor? Was all that studying that he did, was it really Tom putting forth 100% effort to try and get a degree? And what about his poor wife that was working 2 jobs? That's really unfair that you woke up and Tom never got to realize his dream of being a doctor.
Yeah.
It's the same. Formlessness using form that has no concern about the form whatsoever. It's just moving around. Nothing is happening. You know yourself as this just I, this sense of presence in and through body form. And when body form is no more, you will not know yourself. That's why Maharaj says the body is a golden opportunity. This human body is an opportunity for you to know yourself in a real sense, that formlessness, that just I without anything, so that when the body is going, you can witness all of everything that rolled up, rolls back. You're the witness of this. And then that's it. Then you remain with your selfless self, which is the thing, so to speak, you that attached to the body and then said, I, will unattach from the body, no longer saying I. But if you attached and you unattach, then you are. In between, there was an appearance of something, but you are the nothing. That is everything.
It seems like the knowledge of who you really are really only helps you in this incarnation, because whether you do or not, when the body's gone, then it doesn't matter what what you've realized, right? Because you're not there. There's nothing. So the only advantage it does is for this incarnation, because in the incarnation it knows. So therefore it's able to just observe everything and not taking the touch. But once the body's gone, then everything's gone.
But it'll be a very happy moment when you know that you're leaving and returning to your knowing state.
Also, in the video that she sent today, I know Maharaj was saying the importance of this knowledge is that it's knowing who you are now to make life tolerable, he said. I know.
Yeah.
That's one of the things he said.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's really useful in this incarnation, in this life, because after this body drops, then you go back to nothingness, and then it doesn't matter what you know or don't know.
True. But the fear of death, that's the thing. Like Maharaj says, the fear that I am dying, this I am dying idea should not be impressed in mind as you are in that state. It can't even be thought about.
Yeah.
And when you know yourself in a real sense, like you just said, okay, I'm the formlessness that's using form, that's returning to the formlessness, because I never actually was in form. The form was inside myself, and I'm still there, but the form is no longer inside myself.
Unless you're attached to the form.
Well, and that's the thing. If you're believing I am dying, then like Maharaj says, death will be very terrifying and scary for you, because you'll start to relive all the things that you did, and you'll want to hold on. Just like Maharaj uses the example of the ant. You pour water and the ant freaks out and runs away, because presence inside the ant, believing that it's that ant body and will be finished, wants to survive no matter what. Once you have understood, kind of unwound yourself, and no longer impressed with these illusory concepts, it's just the sense of presence, then you've detached from the beingness, because you're prior to beingness. The beingness is the I am somebody and this. So you remain prior to beingness. Prior to beingness, there was no thought of anything. There was no good thing, bad thing, no experience, no experiencer, no nothing. So in this body form, things are going to occur. Good things are going to happen to this body, bad things are going to happen to this body. This body will have other bodies that are relatives to this body that will die, that will suffer, that will have sickness, that whatever. But you're to remain unconcerned with the world, because you are formless, and all of this is appearing on your spontaneous presence. Therefore, there's no need to take the touch, no need to grab the mind and to hold on with dear life, literally, like, oh my God, I do not want to die. Oh, help me. This is not good, because it's not the reality.
But where does compassion come into that? Because is it real compassion when you know the truth of the situation, but you still see the suffering because that person may not be aware of that? So you have to honor where
there needs to be an I am somebody else in a body form. Maharaj talked about the effect of one Brahma harming another Brahma, and that cannot be, because there's only one Brahma using the body forms or whatever, again, inside of a dream. Any action that's occurring is spontaneous action, because there's no you. There's no I am somebody else. It's just I, moving a body around and having different various things occurring. No impressions of experience or desire to, no pain or pleasure principle, because it could be a momentary pain. And even like we talked about, Maharaj dying, that was a, ooh, and there was crying.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But there wasn't so much, impression, like for months and months and months, you're drinking yourself every night, crying about Maharaj or all of these things, or your father or your mother or a sister or a brother or all that. You take just, okay, pain coming, but no suffering created, because there's no I am somebody else experiencing this. And yet, if I was at the funeral with Maharaj, I would be bowing and in reverence and paying my respect. I actually texted somebody on WhatsApp, please bow to the feet of the master one last time for me, And they were like, I'm in the room right now, bowing. And, you know, so not to be very personal, but so that's the same. But there's not this impression. Even with Maharaj, you look at the body, the picture of the body, and you know that the presence that was speaking, that was telling you, you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body. Accept your selfless self. There's no God, there's no Brahman, Atman, Paramatman, Master. You, at the end of all experience, there you are. Nothing is there except your selfless self. And now you see that that same presence that was speaking in the form of Maharaj is no longer speaking in that form, but that presence was speaking directly to itself in your form that you're believing you're holding, telling you, you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body. Body is not your identity. The speaker and the listener are one and the same because it's one formless presence that you are. That has been labeled God, Brahman, Atman, Paramatman, and Master, consciousness, presence. All these different names are just to point to your invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity.
So that one formless presence contains myself and everything else, all people, all things, and so forth.
And that's why there is no yourself, myself, because it's the one self.
Oneself.
And all of this is occurring inside. That's why if you at all want to compare, you compare yourself to sky or space. Try walking into a room where there's a lot of people and concentrating on the space. And right away, when you concentrate on the space, you're not really concentrating on anything going on inside you. And you'll see that everything's moving around. And you know, okay, this is occurring inside my selfless self, including this body form. So if one of the body forms that is myself causes a little bit of trouble for this body form that is myself, I just have to recognize nothing's happening. It's myself bothering myself, but I'm not bothered by myself because I'm remaining with myself.
And all of that that's contained in that is dream, right? It's just basically...
It's all form. You're formless.
Illusory.
Yeah, everything. All of this entire world is an illusory world. Once this body, once the presence detaches from this body, there's no world.
Yeah, it only comes when there's a birth of the body and disappears when the body dies. So.
And that presence was there prior to world. That presence was there prior to everything. Because it, like Maharaj says, match and stick, boom, and fire is everywhere. And presence clicked with the body and said, I. And then I decided to just bury itself in illusory concepts. And that's how you walked around. Just think, like, here's this I. It's just I, but now it's got all this stuff. It became a magnet for every concept in the universe. And then the belief, it's no longer just I, it's I am. I am somebody. I am this. I am that. And my sense of presence, my sense of my formless nature is no longer paid attention to, because it's like somebody took a garbage truck and just dumped it on your head. How are you going to concentrate on your formlessness when you're in 20 feet of garbage and you need to wade through the garbage and wonder when the garbage is going to stop? Mm-hmm. And that's life, you know?
Certainly is.
It's 8 o'clock. I just noticed the clock. I turned and I said, "Oh, it's 8:07."
I know. I can always tell when you're you turn like, okay, John's done.
Okay.
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 Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thanks everybody.
Okay.
Okay. Namaste.
Namaste.